So this is an update report on my game setup, which is going to run through things I've implemented and my plan going forward. So currently, these red blocks are just placeholders for what would represent spikes in any other game. I'll just put these here to make sure that the death animation actually works. I put in these placeholders for platforms to make sure that the platforms fall after a certain time that I can set, and that they're traversable. So that's one mechanic I've introduced that I plan to just copy paste onto other levels, and that can be implemented in various ways to create interesting traversal levels. The next thing is I implemented the awake function on the turret. If you move away, it goes to sleep, and if you get into range, he wakes up. There's one weird bug where if you leave and enter his range, he kind of, yeah, that happens. He goes into this glitch where he's just stuck. That's something I need to fix still. Otherwise, these are working fine. Also with this turret, when you get into the new range set that are defined by these cones, let's just see. You should wake up right about here. These turret cones, if you enter that, he'll start shooting at a rate that can be set from here. You can set the turret's health for if it should take damage. It measures the distance from the turret, the player from the turret. It has a wake range that you can set, a shoot interval, that's basically seconds between shots, bullet speed, and then the bullet timer, which is the despawner, but I've set it to despawn on any collision. And then it has a slot for the bullet sprite, a target, the animation, which would be when the bullet shoots, the turret would animate, which is something I still need to implement so that there's a bit of a more clear indication as to the turret being on its way to fire. And then the shoot points, which are basically just where the bullets exit from, these two. Things that still need implementation are death animations, because it's kind of sudden at the moment. It's not very clear that the player has died, as well as animations for this turret, so that the shots kind of are preempted, and that the player's death is again more clear. In terms of script, one more feature that I'd like to add is the player being able to hide behind rocks, which is something that I still need to figure out, but I'm pretty confident that it wouldn't be out of reach or impossible to do. It currently works already because the the turret is targeting the player box, which seems to be higher than the player is crouching, which is also something I need to fix going forward. Yeah, that's the current situation with my game development and environment. The environment hasn't developed much. I'm fairly happy with the general look, even though it is very Limbo-esque. I think that implementing more colors and variation with more shrubbery and trees, such as with this scene, which is kind of my first scene that ended up being a test. As such, would have variation, maybe having areas where the player moves through this traversing, then moving on to these areas which are a bit more perilous and have the turrets set up. I kind of halted on the environment development for a bit because I was struggling to create assets and artwork if I wasn't sure what my character was going to be doing. Yeah, traversing the map and avoiding things is, it's one thing to say, oh, I want my character to do that, but to not know if it's actually possible and to not know how it would work, how the physics would work, how the character would look and feel moving through this environment, it was difficult to build more for me personally. So I feel a lot more comfortable going forward with building levels now that I've got more game mechanics that are actually working and that, in my opinion, look and feel quite good for the state that they're at. These are just obviously the placeholders for the mechanics, and they're not ironed out, but for how they've been developed going forward, I think they'll do the job nicely.